Well, good morning. I'm not going to wait till 5:55. I'm going to go with 4:44 because that is about home. It's about the security of Earth. Earth is not supposed to be such an insecure place that it is. That has become because of 666, the mark of the beast, and 444 and 555 will overcome 666. Once we get the 444 rightly established and the 555 rightly established, we'll be able to become the avatars that we need to be to deliver us from the mark of the beast and from the Cabal and from the system of the matrix that has enslaved humanity for so long. The title for the message today is Finger Pointing Does Not Help at All. Yesterday, before I had even recorded the interview with the ambassador, I was sent MelVe's latest finger pointing at me and the ambassador. Then informed by the Dragon family about Neil Keenan calling for my arrest and the arrest of the ambassador. Let me set the record straight. I love Tim Turner, Papa Sugih, and all those who have been working hard to help free humanity from 666, the beast. Just because I have been open to new ways of accomplishing that does not mean that I have turned my back on those who have brought me this far. If I were to start finger pointing, as some people do, how would I be any different than the cabal that majors in finger pointing and false accusations? That's been their method all along. Along with the ambassador, I too call for cooperation. If we are going to accomplish the humongous task before us, creating a world that works for everyone, it behooves us to adopt and employ more inclusive spiritual principles than the ones we've been programmed in the matrix to use. And I have a couple of bad typos here that I didn't even notice till now. I'll fix them right now, and we got them. Oh yeah, where to begin? I'm going to go back actually to Rusa because I named Tim Turner there on purpose. Rusa is the Republic for the United States of America. America was founded, or the United States was founded as a republic. Benjamin Franklin, coming out of the Continental Congress, was asked on the streets of Philadelphia a question by a woman, "What have you given us, sir?" And he replied to her, "A republic, ma'am, if you can keep it." From the very beginning of the foundation of the United States, the bankers from Europe were working hard to undermine the grand design and the scheme of America to make America a true melting pot and to become the light of the world, based on the principles of freedom for all, the principles that all men and women, even though they didn't include women in those days, ultimately that had to be the evolution of human consciousness, that all of us are created equal and endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable and unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, the freedom to move around, and the pursuit of our own happiness, our own dreams, our own aspirations. We were given that by Creator, but it was taken away by the Cabal, by the beast. And the beast has been operating in this world for a very long time through dragon families and others who claimed the right to rule and abused that right and abused their mandate from God, as it were, from prime source, Creator. This has been going on for a long time. And I would still give my hardest effort to accomplishing the establishment of republic forms of government. That doesn't mean Republican, for those of you that think in terms of Republican and Democrat. There's no republic in the United States that actually is operative, and there is no real democracy in the United States or anywhere else in the world. It's a controlled system by an elite establishment that wants to dominate and enslave humanity. That's the reality, take it or leave it. But republics are limited governments that the people control with checks and balances that have been made inoperative in the current system of the world. But to me, The only legitimate form of government is one that is derived from the people and that give the people instruction in how to limit and control the leaders so that the leaders do the highest good for humanity. That, to me, is the only legitimate form of human government that there is on earth. And I would encourage all governments to become true republics, which means you'd have to limit the power of the politicians, which, of course, people that want power don't want to do. Okay, I worked hard for 2 years, almost, for the republic, spending money out of my own pocket. Others spent a lot more out of their own pocket. I was invited into, I did not go seeking the republic. The republic came to me through the then ambassador to the state of Florida, who later became the governor, and I became the Secretary of State. He donated so much. I mean, he was an amazing servant to the people, Michael Bishop, Dr. Michael Bishop. And I owe him a debt of gratitude. He brought me into the republic, and I brought other people into the republic myself, and we wanted to create a balance, a spiritual balance and a spiritual perspective that was different than Tim Turner's and many other fundamentalist Christians who wanted to make the republic a Christian republic and wanted America to become a Christian nation as opposed to the melting pot and the free religious place that it was designed by our forefathers to be, who had the vision to create that. Anyway, I never badmouthed Tim Turner. Neither will I. Tim Turner, I think, was an idealist. He had a tremendous heart of a servant to try to liberate people, and I don't care about all the finger pointing that went on with him and even at me. Yes, there were people that were pointing their fingers from the get-go at me, trying to get me to succumb to their authority, okay, and do things their way. It happened in the Republic from the very beginning. Well, then along comes the OPPT. Now, the ambassador knew nothing. When I started communicating with him, he knew nothing of the OPPT. It wasn't even a major point of our conversations over the past 2+ months. We were not talking about the OPPT, but the OPPT laid the foundation for the bankruptcy of the Cabal, of the multinational corporations, of the banks that have controlled everything. It said that they are engaged in human slavery and that they were foreclosed upon. They are bankrupt. They don't have a legitimate claim to power and to the authority that they've been exercising in our world as the beast, as 666. They don't have that authority. And so I still am a strong supporter of Heather and OPPT. I did not move away from those principles. Not the principles of the Republic, not the principles of the OPPT. I believe in those principles still strongly, and I will support those principles to anyone everywhere, including the Dragon family that I'm now privileged to be working with. But then Heather did not proceed on to actually provide a way for people to receive their value. Now, some might disagree with that and say she did. I don't see it because it did not happen on a scale that makes any difference at all. They ended up in Morocco forming a community, which there's nothing wrong with forming communities, and it did not have an impact on the world. Mr. Sugih came along, or Mr. Sino as we knew him then. He came along and he saw the OPPT as the way to get the Swiss Indo vision of God, Sky, Earth, or of a kingdom that works for the people and enriches the people. I love Papa Sugih, and I want you to hear me. I appreciate him recognizing me as his father in a past life. I appreciate the appointment as an advisor to the World Council, a position that I take seriously and still am advising the World Council through my daily videos. That's what I'm doing. And I've not gone against Swiss Indo. The ambassador will tell you that time after time after time, I have stood up for Papa Sugih and for the Swiss Indo delegates and for the people that are involved in Swiss Indo, that have given their time and energy and effort to making the world a better place for everyone. I have not given up that at all. I simply keep my mind and my heart open to be led. Now, I did not go looking for the OPPT or Swiss Indo. The OPPT, I don't know how that actually came across, but I was invited into Swiss Indo by Peter Van Runt, who says that it was my videos that helped awaken him to the OPPT and then ultimately to Swiss Indo. So what went around came around, and he brought me back into this. And then when I became a delegate at Swiss Indo, people all over the world knew who I was because of my videos. I was doing the work before I ever went into Swiss Indo, before I ever heard of the OPPT, and around the same time as I got involved with RUSA. And I've not turned my back on any of that. Not on any of that. Then I was contacted by the ambassador, actually by a man named Alex, who said that somebody called the ambassador, wanted to establish communication with me. And at first I didn't trust it at all. I did not trust it at all. And it took a little while before I finally said, okay, I'll talk to this ambassador guy. And I've gone up and down. I mean, I've been skeptical of the ambassador. I've been skeptical of some of the things that I've heard. I don't like hierarchies in general. I understand the people's problem with Swiss Indo. A lot of it was because of hierarchies being established. I also understand that hierarchies are the way the world has worked throughout our entire history. We've always, for as long as history can be traced, we've always had a hierarchical structure. And a creator is in a sense hierarchical. The creator is over the creation, although I honestly don't see it exactly that way. I see the creator as being in the creation and giving essence and life to the creation. And it's not so much a hierarchical thing as it is a friendship, a union, a love relationship. God is love. Anyway, I'm now working with the ambassador, and I'm being asked to possibly even change where I live on this planet, which is a huge challenge to me, a huge challenge. But I want to speak to people all over, to Neil Keenan, to MelVe, and to those that employ the finger-pointing techniques of the Cabal. You're not serving what you say you believe in when you go around looking for what's wrong with everybody, whether it's Kevin Annett or whether it's Benjamin Fulford, or whether it's David Icke, or whether it's Jeff Rentz, or whether it's David Wilcock, or any of these people that have been speaking out, trying to make humanity better and trying to inform people to the best of our ability what's going on in the world. It doesn't help to try to find fault and finger point. You're not serving anything but the beast, anything but the Cabal when you behave in that kind of manner. And I encourage you to open your heart and understand the nature of what we're involved in. We're involved in the transformation of humanity from ignorance to knowledge, from selfishness that is only in service to self, to a selfishness that recognizes the importance of service to all. That self is not an isolated thing, but it's an interconnected web that exists in everything. The higher self is the God, the creative force, the prime source. It's everything comes from that place. And this is the awakening that we have to get to, that all religions have their value, that all nations and all people have their value, all cultures have their contribution to make, and everyone has the creative spirit within them if it's not squashed and squandered. And finger pointing is not the way to accomplish the task. It's just simply not the way. So I encourage you, I'm not pointing fingers at you, Mel. I'm not pointing a finger at you, Neil Keenan. Even though you've both pointed fingers at me and at the ambassador, open up and stop finger pointing. There's too many people that have good hearts like you do, like I'm going to give you the credit for having good hearts, that think that the way to do it is the way the Cabal has done it. That's the way we've been programmed. And it doesn't work, does it? Does it work to constantly be against, to be exclusive? Now you say to me, Ron, aren't you excluding the Cabal? Yes, but the Cabal is not so much people as it is an ideology, as it is a way of thinking, and it's a distortion and a distorted way of thinking and of perceiving reality. It's an exclusive thing of we're right. It's egoic in its nature of pitting us against them. That's the nature of the Cabal. That's the nature of the beast. And that's the nature that is in each of us, that we, each of us, has to overcome. And we overcome it by becoming inclusive instead of exclusive, by recognizing ourselves as part of the whole rather than just an ego fighting for its own survival. The fighting for survival is part of the matrix. It's a program. We need to reprogram ourselves. We need to stop finger pointing at others and recognize that we have three fingers pointing back at ourselves. We're all together in this thing. Mel, did I not help you when you were hungry and ready to lose your apartment? Did I not reach out to you? I don't have a lot of money, but I helped. Why then is there a need to point fingers? I have not abandoned Papa Sugih. Papa Sugih, I know that I will meet him face to face at some point, and we will even meet the Red Dragon and the old man and the historian and the ambassador, and all of this is going to come out, but it's a process, just like the ambassador said in the video that's up today that we recorded yesterday. We're in a process of transformation, and that process is well underway, and it's happening, and nothing is going to stop it. 444, 555 will overcome 666, and let me tell you, the ambassador, much of what he was saying and what he says to me and what he puts out to the general public, much of it is code to the people in the know, the people in the higher echelons of the family structure, of the hierarchical structure that's actually in place on earth, and he's calling for those people to surrender to God's will, basically. God's will is to bless all of humanity. You that get impatient, it doesn't do any good to start pointing fingers and stuff like that. It doesn't do any good at all. You need to do the work on yourself, and you need to align yourself with those that are doing the best we can to help make a difference in the world. I'm one of those. I'm only one of them. I'm not the only one. I've been doing it faithfully for 1,300 and some odd days in a row, and it's going to continue as long as I have breath, and I will make whatever changes I need to make, even if it means moving to Hong Kong or something. I don't know. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know that I am committed to principles, not to people. I'm committed to the principles of truth, the principles of justice, the principles of compassion and freedom, to the principles of loving one another. If you're not committed to those principles, I ask, why not? It's time to wake up. Thank you for listening. Namaste.